3.4 million got rescued.
Like everything was served apart from $1 million, like it's nothing.
I mean, $1 million is, we as well have a partnership that we're going to announce very soon again, and I'm excited about.
Cool. Maybe we'll announce it here.
Pre-audit kind of offer. The people that are already on the leaderboard can apply and say like, I want to take this pre-audit. Maybe it's like $5,000.
200K, 300K got stolen. Who paid for it? Can you tell us a bit about the Hats token? Hello guys, it's Johnny time and welcome to another Web3 security podcast. Today our special guest is Oli, the founder and the CEO of the successful decentralized application, auditing competition and bug bounty platform, hats.finance. This interview is going to be so interesting, from late night rescue operations to changing the incentives of bug bounties for white hat Web3 security hackers and researchers. We're gonna share so much alpha in this interview, so make sure to stick till the end. Now without further ado, let's get started. Hey Oli, how are you? Glad to have you here on the show.
Hey Johnny, yes, super nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming and for putting the time. So first, before we dive into Hats Finance, I really want to listen about your background. What kind of background you are coming from? When did you join crypto and blockchain? And how did it all start?
Yes, so I started my career as a UX designer, and basically what we got taught is we would always like fund these fictional startups in uni, and every time with like a different technology. And so when I did my bachelor thesis, I was actually in Fraunhofer Institute in applied AI, which is now becoming very hot again. And did some go-to-market for like research that we did there. And so I joined after my bachelor a company called Merck, which is like a very massive pharmaceutical and chemical company in like we called it New Tech Garage. So we would exactly do this what we did in university, where we would get different technology, we would build pilot projects with it, and figure out like, okay, which technology has potential, what could have a business case, and so on. And that was as well, so that was like end of 2016 when I started my first job. The first time I came across blockchain, so obviously I heard about Bitcoin, but one of my colleagues, he came towards me and said like, hey, you got to check out Ethereum, you cannot ignore this. This is like super, super interesting. We can put programs on top of it, and it will always execute exactly how you programmed it, and it's decentralized. So I started to go into the rabbit hole, and I was very fascinated. And in the beginning, actually what caught me the most was kind of the game theory aspects to it and the coordination mechanics. So I got interested in like the different kind of layers that popped up. So not a lot of the ones that were like hot in 2017, they're not there anymore, but it was definitely fascinating. And so we organized different like hackathons in Merck, and as well like joint ones with other corporations and communities. And what we did is we built like the blockchain council in Merck. So there's actually some interesting stuff that came out of it, which, for example, is a use case where we have chemical DNA that you can measure with a spectrograph. And this chemical DNA is written into the blockchain, and Merck even has a patent on this. So I was like getting very excited about this and building like a POCs with blockchain. But then after like, I don't know, like 9 months, a year, I personally came to the conclusion, okay, it's not super interesting for big corporations, because we had like legally enforceable contracts with all of our customers, with all of our suppliers. And so I personally didn't see so much like in the company use cases for it. But I was super hyped about it in like other aspects. Yeah, like in 2020, 2021, and then started to join different DAOs, like followed all of this like new DeFi protocols coming up. I was like using Yearn and Uniswap like very early. I was following the SushiSwap drama very closely, and as well like created with a couple of friends like a DAO that I'm still in today called SCD DAO. And while then my career progressed, so I basically become like a tech consultant. Then I went into portfolio management. So together with my boss, we would deploy like 42 million every year into IT innovation projects. And so I was basically preparing this investments decisions, was reviewing the business plan, the technology that they would use, which team members do they need, and so on. Then make a recommendation, and then the CFO would mostly sign off these investment decisions. And because the reason for this was that I was not super happy with which projects and which technologies we would fund internally. So I felt like I need to go closer to decision making. It was then when I started to do an MBA, because I got more and more dragged into like finance and business kind of topics that I really, really loved. And funny enough, the reason for this was actually crypto, because before crypto, I didn't have any interest into finance. And then because of this like very interesting technology in the game theory, and then it has a lot of financial aspects, I became like super, super hooked. And so I decided to do an MBA. And after my MBA, I wanted to fund a company. And one of my friends, who is as well part of this SCD DAO, he's a partner at Collider Ventures. And he was like, hey, we are just talking to someone who has a really, really nice idea to use these incentive mechanisms to improve the overall security in the space. And this person was shy, and I did like a couple of calls with him, and then it said like, okay, this is the project I want to fund and I want to push.
Wow, what an incredible journey from UX to AI to crypto. And you also have been a crypto user. You mentioned like year in finance and sushi. So you know how things look from the user perspective, from the UX, from the risk assessment, and you probably invested your own money, I guess. What do you mean by game theory? You mentioned a lot like you like the game theory of crypto. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, so one thing that I really, really loved is that with Bitcoin and Ethereum, you technically can attack it, but it doesn't make sense for you to attack it. Yeah, because you would need to waste more money than you would get out of it. And all of this, like, okay, you have like an open system, but it works because everyone is incentivized to do the right action for the system. Fun fact that not many people know, but our foundation that is funding the development of hats is called Incentive Alignment Foundation, because we feel like, okay, this is how crypto should be done. Yeah, like so if the hackers have the right incentives to be ethical and disclose vulnerabilities, and the teams have the incentive to pay the hackers fairly, everything works like way better than you would like try to convince them or force them. And I think this is something we see many times in crypto, where you say like, okay, we want to align incentives between the token holders and maybe the investors or the building. So what we need to do is we need to lock the token, and only if you lock the token, then you can participate in governance. So you have some skin in the game. All of these are basically game theory topics, yeah, where you have to ask yourself, like, this group that is interacting in the system, what do they want? What is driving them forward? And if you understand this very well, you can then like create your system in a way that the different groups are not working against each other, but actually are like moving forward together.
Definitely. So incentives alignment is something super important in anything, I guess, in any environment, ecosystem, group of people, and especially in crypto. And it's incredible that we were able to create good incentives for people to run validator nodes, for people to pay for transaction fees like in Ethereum, for people to build dApps because eventually they get tokens or something, or vested tokens. So yeah, it's like incentives alignments is one of the most important things. And also when it comes to blockchain security, right?
Yes, and it's cool that you mentioned running nodes, because I think that's one of the very prominent cases of 2017 where the game theory was neglected, was projects that said, we're going to scale by just have like higher throughput nodes, but there was no incentive to run these nodes. So the projects basically forgot about the game theory of the system, and then it didn't work out. And it's a really, really nice example that you just brought up.
You are talking about Ethereum nodes, right? 2017?
Yeah, for example, IOTA was...
IOTA.
I think I can...
This is from the graveyard. IOTA, Neo, I remember all these projects.
Yes. And I'm like, I can like now...
EOS.
I can make like my, my off, like I can openly say now that, like IOTA was one of the bad investments that I personally did as a newcomer, because I as well learned that people need an incentive to run nodes, otherwise it's gonna fail. But they exactly had this problem, like they had a lot of requirements what the node operators should do, but in the end they forgot that no one will do it if you don't give them like something back in return. And so I think other projects solved that way better.
The incentives were not aligned, long story short.
Yes.
Like in a lot of cases in Web3, right? We have so many bug hunters that are frustrated, both in auditing contests and also in bug bounty programs, where sometimes there is no bug bounty program, so they don't have incentive to report to the protocol. They rather exploit the funds and then kind of blackmail the protocol, or even sometimes through platforms such as Immunify. The negotiation phase is very frustrating, such as auditing competition. Sometimes I heard about some auditing competitions platform where it's very hard to get paid, even though you have like a legit finding or submission. So it's a thing, it's a hot subject in Web3. Like, how do we align the incentives between the hackers, which they have a lot of opportunities, right? Because if they choose the bad path, the evil path, it's very, I would say, very lucrative. It's very tempting because there are a huge amount of money on the stake. It's crypto. You can easily anonymize yourself. Of course, you have to live with the bad feeling and the karma, and eventually maybe you can get caught. So it's like constant fear. But some people, the incentives are so bad that they are still choosing this path. And I guess this is how like hats.finance was born, from this problem, this need that you guys wanted to solve. So can you tell us a bit more about it, about the problem that you wanted to solve through hats.finance and how it started?
Yeah, definitely. That was probably the biggest factor even. So we saw that these like new incentive mechanisms came up. Like at that time it was mostly provide liquidity and get a token in return, or if you trade and or if you have like a LP position where you provide liquidity in one protocol, if you bring that over to another protocol, you would then get rewarded on the new protocol. And at the same time, the amount of hacks went up a lot. Like 2020, 2021 was a really bad year of hacks. Actually, it became worse and worse over time. But at that time, we already thought like, oh, wow, there's so much tokens being stolen. And so the question was like, can we use this incentive mechanism to bring more people to disclose vulnerabilities instead of exploiting them? And when we looked deeper, we found out that with bug bounties, there are very big issues because you have this information asymmetry. So in the beginning, the hacker has the information how he would exploit the protocol. But in order for the team to evaluate if the vulnerability is real or not, the hacker has to show the information. But then we have the situation where the team now has all the information they need and they still have their money. So suddenly they don't have an incentive anymore to pay the hacker. And this is then what happens often. Like afterwards, the team says, okay, thank you, bye-bye. And there's very different, like things as we're playing out there. Like maybe they are now busy with fixing it, and then they are busy communicating the postmortem, and there's always something. But in the end, it's not to the benefit of the security researcher. And so we thought like, okay, let's use this and bring it onto the blockchain. We felt like this is an amazing use case for blockchain technology because we can put the money on chain, so the security researcher can audit that the money is actually there, which later became a huge problem in the bear market. We were a little bit ahead of the time there because in the bull market, no one didn't really care. But then I think in the bear market, we saw that many centralized bug bounty platforms starting to delist a lot of projects because someone was reporting an issue and then surprised the project didn't have the money. They claimed on the website that they're going to pay you 5 million, but well, it's a bear market. They don't have that money anymore. And then secondly, we thought like, okay, now the project can already prove that they have the money. But if we then as well have a dispute resolution that if the project is trying to avoid paying out, someone can activate the decentralized court. And since the money is in the vault on chain, the court can force it to pay out. And this is something we thought like, okay, that would be an amazing use case. So we started to build this. And it took us quite a while. That was it's not an easy thing because we needed to make sure that all the information is encrypted. Because if, let's say, even if you don't know what is the vulnerability, if you could see on chain that someone is reporting a vulnerability to a certain project, obviously a lot of people would sell the token or even short the token because they would expect that there's some issue going on. And so we needed to be like very careful, like how to set up this process and how to onboard the customer, because the onboarding process was something that in the beginning was very cumbersome. You need a multisig that is managing this vault. You need to set up the PGP keys, the communication channels, all of the conditions for the bug bounty hosted on IFPS and all. But yeah, we saw that there's like some really big problems with bug bounties, and we thought that we can solve it. And this is where our mission started.
So your mission was to align the incentives, and it brings a lot of challenges, both technical, theoretical, to plan how this whole solution going to look like, and also to implement it, right? To write smart, I guess it's based on smart contracts. So you also need to audit and do security reviews for these smart contracts, because we are talking about a lot of money that will be on the vaults and a lot of power for the governance to decide whether, I don't know, the protocol doesn't want to pay, but they have to pay. How many people did you start it with, and did you grow? Like, how many are you today?
So we were pretty fast. We were like 6 people. So
do you have any funding, any investment?
Yeah. So we raised 3.8 million in 21.
Wow.
That we mostly spent
just before the bear market, right? Just before the bear market.
Yes. We mostly spent the money on developers, building smart contracts, building the UI. And we learned very fast that, so we expected our customers, like CTOs, lead devs, they are able to use EtherScan to interact with smart contracts. But we found out very fast that a lot of teams are actually not able to do this. So we needed to build UIs for everything from the beginning. And even with great UX, because our competitor was someone who just puts a number on the website. Yeah, that's it. And we wanted to build something completely custodial. Yeah? For example, one thing that we can offer is the information is coming encrypted directly to the customer. Not even we have access to the information of the submission. And we believe that is important because if we are talking about protocols that maybe have like $1 billion TVL, and then you get a submission, and at some point, like when employee will be corrupted? Yeah, for 1 million, for 10 million, for $1 billion. But I think at some point there's a risk that the employee will use this information in a malicious way, and this has happened for a bug bounty platform. Obviously, they handled it very well. Yeah, like they found out who it was, they fired the guy, and so on. But still, like if you're an Arbitrum and some employee of the security provider is exploiting your protocol, sometimes this is damage that can never be repaired. Yeah, so this is something that we wanted to make sure that the connection is peer-to-peer, both for payment but as well for information. Yeah, but so we started to build this product and found out, okay, obviously we need to have like a super high standard regarding security and as well UX, because the people would use it if it is at least close to the UX they're getting from like listing on these like centralized bug bounty platforms.
This is so interesting. So what kind of challenges did you have in the beginning, apart from like how to implement a security well? It's challenging, I guess, to build something from scratch, something that never was built before. So what kind of challenges did you face?
So honestly, we thought that the customers would understand why this is great faster. Yeah. So we told them like, okay, if you put the bug bounty on the protocol, it will be way more attractive for the security researchers. You will get more submissions, better talent. And because it's peer-to-peer, our legal understanding, like please ask your own lawyer, and as well, depending on which jurisdiction you're in with your organization. But from our understanding is if it's peer-to-peer, you as well don't need to KYC the hacker. For example, Microsoft is buying zero-day exploits on the black market constantly, and never someone asks them like, hey, please KYC the hacker on the black market. Everyone understands that you have to do this to protect your users. And because there's no intermediary in the middle, you don't need to KYC, other than with the centralized bug bounty platform. But the customer, they didn't really respond to it. They were like seeing.
When you say customer, you mean protocols that need to participate in the bug bounty platform, right? To put money in the vault. Yeah.
They would host their bug bounty with the Hats protocol, basically.
Okay.
And and we actually wanted to ramp this up way faster. Yeah, we wanted to bring decentral courts. We wanted to have everything on chain, a lot of liquidity. Yeah, we wanted to motivate projects to go to 10% of their TVL in a bounty, and everything we built is composable. Yeah, so you can, for example, use part of your TVL in the bug bounty without even withdrawing it, but still you could like liquidate it whenever you need it. So you could like completely build everything on chain. You could as well take 10% of your bug bounty and contribute it to the bug bounty vault of Ethereum, because you are building on top of Ethereum. And if they are getting hacked, then your protocol is dead as well. And like we had all of these possibilities, but what we learned the hard way
sounds like a lot of features and complexities for such protocol.
Well, it's not that technically it's not that complex, because all you have to do is like you take part of the LP tokens and deposit into a second vault. So I think it was manageable. The problem was more that people, they tell you like, yeah, that's a cool concept. It makes a lot of sense. But from a security professional standpoint, the bug bounty is extremely important. But for the customer, it's always low priority is actually what we learned. And
they don't really care. So what do they care about, those protocols?
Audits. They really, really care about audits. Everyone understands that you need to get audited. But
so they care about, they want to get audited, but they don't care about like the next phase. They don't care if they get hacked. Or I mean, it's not like they don't care. They don't want to get hacked. They don't want to be caught without pants, but still they don't believe that it will happen. They're like, oh, we got an audit. We are secure now, right? This is the mindset.
Exactly. Yeah. I think as well, it's a very human thing that you don't want to think about the worst case. Yeah. Like they didn't say no. They just, like put it on the bottom of the priority list. Yeah, we will do this. And then you need to chase them. Yeah. While with the audit, they know, okay, I want to go live in June, so I have to get the audit in April. Yeah. So, that was like for us when we did the switch, and now we're offering both. We have like a very nice bug bounty platform with like amazing customers like Safe, Liquidity, Angle, Temple DAO, like really nice customers. But we as well have the audit competition where, depending on the month, we run like 1 to 6 audits a month, and as well with really cool projects like Aleph Zero and Stakewise and EtherFi and so on. But yeah, that was way easier sell, even though I still, as a security person, believe that bug bounties are really, really important, and every project needs a bug bounty mandatory. But yeah, I think it's just, as in crypto, you always sell as a startup to other startups, and a startup always has the first priority is I need to survive. And if you're in the B2B business and you're not selling them something that is like very tangibly helping them to grow their revenue, to prove their product market fit, then you're always landing on the bottom of the to-do list. And with bug bounties, like we tell them like, hey, if ever something happens, you will be really, really happy to have this. They understand it, but they still will not act on it.
It's interesting. I'm wondering what is the ratio, if we look at the data of all the protocols that got hacked, how many of them had bug bounty programs, and see what is the ratio of protocols getting hacked that didn't have bug bounty program. Did you do this kind of research before, like, I don't know, to present to protocols, hey, look, we have this, 100 protocols got hacked last year. Out of them, only 2 had bug bounty programs. Conclusion, if you have a bug bounty program, there are less chances you're going to get hacked. Something like that.
Yes, we did research, but the kind of decision making is very tricky, right? Because a lot of the projects that are getting hacked have actually bug bounties. But then the problem is, how high was the bug bounty? Yeah, like if you find a vulnerability that is 100 million TVL that I can steal, and there's a 100K bug bounty, yeah, like suddenly you have to make the decision and say, do I take 100K legal money or do I take 100 million illegal money? Which obviously, like you need to wash the money. You will always live in fear. Yeah, you will always have to look over your shoulder, scared that the FBI will find you. So it has downsides. Yeah, but still, the 100K.
And also, it's money that doesn't belong to you, right? You stole it. Okay, you have some technical skills that allowed you to find a vulnerability and steal them, but eventually, the value that you gave to society doesn't worth this $100 million. You just stole it from other people.
Definitely. Yeah.
So the karma, for me, is like the biggest factor here. That's why I always choose the white hat path. Apart from the legal stuff, from the laundering, for all this, it's about karma. I'm bullish karma, If you should get paid for how much value you bring to society. And here you just take value. You suck value out of people's pocket, their own money that they invested into a protocol. Well, karma will hit back, whether it's going to be financially or in any other way. This is 100%. My point of view.
I agree with you 100%. And we are very happy that like most of the best security researchers in the world think like you, because I think, like anyone who is able to find this vulnerability is like a super smart professional. And they understand that they can earn like very good money as well with like an ethical way, doing good for the world and still earn like really good money. And I think this is a blessing for all of us, because otherwise the industry would be even more insecure. Like one exclusion from that is that, of course, like sanctioned countries. Yeah, like if you are North Korea, those guys will never report the bug ethically. Or if you're maybe even like you're just a random guy who lives in Russia and suddenly you're as well excluded, then obviously the ethical route is closing. But for the most guys that are really, really good, they think just like us, like I'm smart, I can make money and still do something good for the world. And I think that's very important. But then you have, like coming back to the two options here, like stealing 100 million or like disclosing and getting 100K. The problem with the 100K is that you're not even getting it certain. Yeah, like you have
exactly.
like
you have to go through hell
chance. Yeah, like
go through hell of arguing.
Yeah, so we just believe that you need to make the ethical option way more attractive. Yeah, like higher payouts, but as well fairer process. And this is what we're trying to push like every day, is that how can we make the process better? How can we make it more fair?
And how do you make it better? Like, how do you convince protocols that it's important to align the incentives? Like, what are the secrets of hats.finance? How do you solve this issue apart from the UX and the votes and everything, which is great. It's good confidence for the hacker, the white hat hacker, that can see that there is actually money there, and it can be also controlled through hats governance. But apart from that, the amount of incentives, how do you convince the protocol to actually make it attractive enough?
Yeah. So I have to say, this is not an issue where you can just, like do some magic and then it's solved. It's like really tough. For us being on chain, which has like a lot of upsides, like the willingness from the project to pay goes up because they already needed to pull it out of their budget and put it into the vault. So mentally, it's like already reserved for security and they can pay it out. But obviously then you don't have 10% of TVL in your treasury that you can just put in a vault and let it there sit. Yeah. So I think even by this, we have smaller overall maximum payouts. But at least the certainty goes up. What we want to do is we want to incentivize projects with our own token once it goes live to put more liquidity in. And it's an experiment, I have to say. Like, we don't know yet if projects will start to put like many $1 million in, or if it will only slightly increase it. And then what we as well experiment is the bounty vaults are actually open, so anyone can provide liquidity. We have seen that some communities have done it very actively. One of our customers was DXDAO, which unfortunately dissolved for people that have followed the DXDAO story. But there we had 75% of the liquidity was actually from the community and not from the treasury of the project, which was crazy. Yeah, like the people understood that if DXDAO is getting hacked, they're going to lose the money that is locked in the protocol, in the DAO treasury, in they had like salary payouts and stuff. And so for them, they have an incentive to increase the security budget. And there's the same with if I build on top of a protocol. Yeah, maybe I'm building on top of Aave. And so I have an incentive to increase their bug bounty so that I increase my own security. And as well, investors or big users. So what we hope is like long term, and I think we as well have to do a lot of educational work to get there, is we have to tell people like, hey, you have a really direct incentive to improve the security of the things you use or build on top. You should maybe provide like 2% of your portfolio into this bug bounty as well. And risk return is actually positive. Yeah, it's not charity. There's actually a tangible improvement in risk return for yourself.
This is so interesting. Also regarding game theory, that other people actually either, random people that just hold the token or participate in the protocol, they just deposit money because they care about the security of the protocol. This is something that I would never imagine that happened. Like, or even for another protocol, they deposit money because they rely on this protocol. This is crazy.
Yes. This is part of this like aligning incentives. Yeah. So we want to somehow activate the community so that they're not only asking like, okay, did you do an audit with Certic? But they're like really asking, are you managing the security correctly? Yeah. Like I'm trusting you with my money. What are you doing for security? And then maybe even the next step is like, how can I contribute to security? And this is like it's a broad vision. Yeah. And I think it's more long term. I don't expect that tomorrow the users will wake up and will be super engaged in security. But I feel that compared to 2020, already we matured a lot as an industry. Yeah, like as well, projects that are taking security more serious. Users are requesting more security. Like they're now more vocal about like, no, we want to get an audit. Maybe they say like, we want to get 2 audits. And this is great. And I hope that this journey continues. And then the people that understand what we do will grow more and more in some point, like people will say like, okay, I understand that this is good for me. And they will like put in the money into the bug bounty vaults.
100%. It seems like security is more kind of popular these days. And you can see it like it's more in our awareness of all the players, both the users, the protocols, and sometimes even the blockchains, the ecosystems. I don't think I can mention names, but there is one ecosystem that is going to kind of sponsor partial of the pay of the audits for the protocols, which is incredible. I've never seen something like this, and this is amazing.
Yeah, we actually, so there's a few that do that. So for example, Gnosis is doing that for a long time. They're giving out grants to pay out the audits completely for projects deploying on Gnosis chain. And we as well have a partnership that we're going to announce very soon again, and I'm excited about.
Well, maybe you'll announce it here, no?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. I need to ask my team, if it's already ready, because we actually it's quite substantial. Yeah, it's a really nice partnership, and I think it will be great for security researchers as well, and for the ecosystem. And I believe giving grants for audits is the best thing that you can do as an ecosystem, because you have like a very direct ROI as well. Because if a project is getting hacked on your chain, people will directly associate the hack with your ecosystem. So they will say like, something got hacked on Base, or something got hacked on Binance.
Base is not secure. Binance is a scam chain, right? We have all these like stigmas about chains.
Yeah, people will say that. Yeah, so I think for ecosystem, it's very smart to give out grants for audits. It's and it's as well the biggest roadblock for new projects, right? Like you're developing something, you want to deploy. Oh, suddenly I need an audit, and maybe it costs like 40K to $500,000.
They cannot afford it. A lot of them cannot afford it. Definitely. And before we talk about the auditing competitions, which is cool, the new auditing competition model that you introduced, you were the first one to introduce actual vaults and decentralized arbitration process. So can you explain us what does it mean to have the vault and how the arbitration process work and how it's different from any other things that we know in blockchain security?
Yes. So I already touched about it on it a little bit earlier that many projects, they didn't have the money they're claiming to pay out their bug bounty programs after a successful submission. And so we were the first one who said okay, let's put it on chain. So it's verifiably there, the money. We can have all of this composability kind of things that I just described. And then since it's an escrow, you can as well have a dispute resolution who can actually force as well a payout. And so what we are doing is, I have to say, we really took our time developing this because we were worried that if we not implement it really good, that it would be making the process worse. If we would roll out this decentral arbitration and the decentral court would make bad decisions, then it would be worse for the security researchers, for the projects, for everyone. So, and we need to convince the projects to onboard to this. Yeah, I think this is something as well we have to be clear to ourselves and as well to the security researchers. We want the security researchers to really have a transparent, fair process, but we always have to not keep forgetting the incentives of the project. Again, the game theory, what do they want? Because if we're too aggressive, then they will not use it. And then they will just go to some platform where there's no safeguard for the security researcher at all. And then we have won nothing. So we need to
amazing. It's amazing. Sorry for interrupting, but it's amazing to see that aligning incentives is one of the most important things, both in Web3 projects, but also if you think about it in every other platform, right? That connects between users and different actors, like Fiverr, for instance. You have the people who provide service, the people who buy stuff. You need to align the incentives between them. Meta, Facebook, they don't care about incentives. The users are being milked as cows. The advertisers are paying and they're getting all the money. This is something else. This is Web2. That's why we're in Web3. But
yes.
Now, there are companies like hats.finance that need to align the incentives. And they are also, because it's blockchain and transparent, they're openly about it and it's all on chain and open source. It's incredible. I'm listening to you. I'm I love blockchain and I love Web3 and I'm so glad that I'm in this industry. So sorry for the interruption. Go on. I just had this moment.
I agree. Yeah. So what we want to do is that there's in the beginning, the first concept was okay, if there's a dispute between the security researcher and the project, it will move into Kleros court. So we did a lot of research for these decentral court systems out there. And if you like game theory, that's as well something I can recommend to you. Take some time and read into it. For example, the Kleros court white paper. They did it with a couple of PhDs and global experts as well in game theory and court systems and stuff. It's really, really interesting stuff.
Wow.
But the thing is that they're running quite well, but they're the only ones. Yeah. If you check out all of the others, there's 4 or 5 other options. None of them had enough traction, enough track record, to really trust this very, very big decision to them. Yeah. Let's say there's a bug bounty and it's about paying out $2 million to a security researcher. It's a big, big decision. And if it fails, there's a lot of harm that can be done. And so we were evaluating it more. We were building. We were always very openly discussing this with our community and Discord. So a lot of the features and ideas we built out in the open and sent a very early draft document into Discord, and people can give us feedback. And what we in the end learned is okay, we want to do this. We believe in decentral arbitration. I think that's the way to solve the problem. But we have to do it in a 2-step mode. So what we're doing now is there's an expert committee. And maybe you've seen the tweet I recently put out. We are right now starting to look for people of the Security Council. This is this expert committee where if there's a dispute, the one who wants to activate the dispute, he needs to pay a fee. So, and the fee is not cheap. It's around $1,500 in the current design. Because if you activate this mechanism, there's a lot that happens. Yeah, first it goes to an expert committee where 5 people are looking at the issue, triaging it, and we need to incentivize those people to do it. So they need to get paid. And they will put a new triage out. And then all of this goes into the Kleros court, and the Kleros court has a binary decision. So they will decide what was better, the initial triage from the project or the new triage from the expert committee. And if they decide the expert committee is correct, then that can overrule the payout that was created by the multisig of the vault and force it to pay out. And this is something that we are now developing for like over 2 years, that has been already audited 6 months ago. We still didn't roll it out because we just were super aware that how critical it is to get this right. And now finally we feel confident and we're building the UI to the contracts that we already have. So this is how long this journey was and how difficult this problem is. Yeah, maybe from the outside it doesn't look like that, but like when you go like really deep, and I just have to think about the Telegram discussion we have with Kleros, where we have written like 15 pages long specifications back and forth like for months and discussing it. It's actually a quite tough challenge that, and I think we have solved it. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see it. I mean, I never explored it, but it sounds like it's going to be super interesting. And just to be clear, this arbitration, who can trigger it? Just both the project and also the white hat, or only the white hat in case he's not happy with the results?
So anyone can trigger it, even someone in the community. So let's say I'm someone who did the good thing and I contributed money to the bug bounty vault. And now the team wants to pay out all of the vault to a submitter, but I feel like maybe it's even not a legit payout. Yeah, so maybe they are trying to make a fake payout to rug pull the community. Then I am, as a community member, can as well activate dispute resolution and say like, this is not a real submission. And then the expert committee can actually stop this and make sure that the team is not abusing the multisig, or if the multisig is getting hacked, if they lose control over it. Actually, this is a mechanism for us that even helps us to, in the future, completely decentralize the protocol. The end goal for Hats is that there's like no manual intervenence anymore from the Hats team.
Is it even possible? Is it even possible? It's like, it reminds me like, let's do everything automated, but there's always some kind of manual work that needs to be done. So
yes, there will still be manual work, but the manual work should be governed by game theory. So the people needs to act in a certain way, otherwise they will get punished for it economically. So for example, if the expert committee is doing a bad triage and it goes to Kleros court and the Kleros court shoots them down, they're going to lose money for it. So they have an incentive to do a good classification. And if they do good classifications, they're going to earn money. And so there will always be humans in the system. But the question is like, how do the humans interact? But I think in the end, we have to do something like this, because otherwise Hats will end up being a centralized service provider like it is today. Like, what is the status quo? And we just need to tackle like each process slide at a time. Yeah, for example, with the audit competition, there's a phase where we right now are doing manual work in audit readiness. We meet with the project. We look at the code. Is the code quality good enough? Is the testing good enough? Documentation. And then we give them a recommendation for how big should it be the pool. And in the future, what we want is that even that step will be going into the community. So there's like a pre-audit kind of offer. The people that are already on the leaderboard can apply and say like, I want to take this pre-audit. Maybe it's like $5,000. And they will work with the team to make them ready to start the audit competition. So what we try to do is right now, we obviously have to fill a lot of gaps where the Hats team needs to offer services, which we're doing for free, basically. But in the future, all of this should be on-chain. All of this should be crowdsourced.
I love it. I love to see all the innovation. There are so many companies right now. I mean, it was like you were one of the first ones, but there are more companies popping out like mushrooms after rain, in the forest.
Yes.
But I love to see how every company is like innovating in their way. Everyone is trying to optimize some kind of process or make it more fair or more or improve it. And it's a very cool idea actually to basically. If we take other platform, I think Codarina is either the lookout role or scout role, which is someone that this is his job to come and prepare the contest. So you guys want to make it decentralized, so anyone can participate and apply it. Or
yes.
If we look at the judging in Code Arena, that we have a judge, Sherlock did the same to judging, like they have community judging and also code hacks. So it's very cool to see how different platforms are trying new concepts and new models, and something sticks, something doesn't. But aim to find the optimal solution of how an audit competition should look like, which brings me to the next subject. So Hat Finance, after the bug bounty, introduced also audit competitions. So can you give us some insights into like when you started adding audit competition, why did you decide to do it, and what were the challenges involved?
So, I mean, now we as well, I want to talk a little bit as a founder or as like an entrepreneur. Maybe it's as well interesting, yeah, but basically we were running with the bug bounties. We felt like we have a good product, but the pace of like new customers coming in could be higher. So it was as said, like you have to chase projects and tell them like, hey, you need a bug bounty. Yeah? So what we did is we came to the conclusion that like, okay, actually audits are something that is way easier to sell when we can use our technology for that already. And so we were the first one. We were not the very first who invented audit competitions. Yeah, that kind of trophy definitely goes to Code Arena. But we said like, okay, we're going to use our on-chain technology and actually iterate on that. So we observed that there are some downsides to the competition model of Code Arena, which is that the benefits is that you get, instead of 3 to 5 people looking at your code, how you would do it with a traditional audit firm, you get now like maybe 100 people looking at your code. And then because you only reward the ones who have like an audit finding, you only reward those auditors who created value. But what we didn't like is that what they do is like they bundle everything together, all findings, and there's like a 3 weeks judging period, and then maybe after 3, 4, 5 weeks you get your audit results, and that's it. We thought that like some aspect that is very important about audits is the direct communication with the auditor. So they tell you like, hey, I would change your architecture here a little bit, or you're not following best practices here in this part of code. You should increase testing, all of these things. And we wanted to bring this back into the audit competition mode. So what we did is you have a vault on chain again, and all of the submissions that are coming in real time and are visible to the customer. And we're only going to reward the first submitter of each issue, which allows us to give a way bigger reward to that security researcher. Yeah? I think what we've seen in other platforms is that everyone is sharing the reward for the same issue. And what happens is that often the people get like $50, $20 for a high or medium severity submission.
Sometimes $1 or 1 cent.
$1. Yeah, I heard about these stories as well. Yeah, and that's really crazy for me, because the best people in the industry, they will not come and work for you for $20 for 2 weeks. You will not get the best talent. And so we said like, okay, let's make it real time. Everyone sees the submissions that are coming in. So I know that if someone already found this issue, I don't need to waste my time in finding the same issue. I can look at other sections of the code. And then we can have like a really nice payout for the ones who did find it first. And as well allow the projects to interact with the auditors in real time. Yeah, so they're discussing in GitHub issues in the comments. They're discussing in GitHub. We're doing like workshops with the CTO and developer where hackers can ask questions. The CTO can as well say like, hey guys, this code section I'm feeling less confident about, maybe focus a little bit more on this. And everyone really liked this. And after 2 weeks, the project is coming out of the competition with completely audited code, proposed fixes. If they want, they can already accept the fixes. So they come out of like with fixed code, and maybe even the fixes are already audited. Yeah, like sometimes, like one of the best things that happened in our audit competition is that someone found a vulnerability and proposed a fix, and another auditor found a vulnerability in the fix, and he submitted it. And suddenly we were all sitting there and we said like, okay, what do we do now? Yeah, like how should we reward this? And what was really nice is that the one who proposed the fix, he said like, okay, I will share my reward for my finding 50-50 with the guy who found the vulnerability in my fix. It was a really nice moment. And
Wow,
actually
so he just willingly gave up of his reward. Like, who is deciding the reward, by the way? Is it like Hats, the protocol? Like, how is it being decided?
So we all decided before the competition starts. So we give a recommendation to the project. So like, okay, for high vulnerability, you should pay a maximum 20,000. For medium, 15,000 or 12,000, low, maybe $800, something like this. And then everyone knows before hunting that the conditions for the competition before they even join. And usually we pay out these caps. There's some examples where so many vulnerabilities were being found that the vault didn't was enough to pay out all of the vulnerabilities. And for that, we have a pointing system in place. But all of this is very transparent and very well communicated before the competition even starts.
Interesting. It sounds like the perfect model, because I can say from the auditor perspective. So from the auditor perspective, when I joined Code Arena the first time, I felt like there is some kind of, like you said, disconnection between the protocol to the security researcher. You do have the Discord channel, but still, like, there is also a lot of spam there sometimes, especially if the competition rate is high, if you have a lot of people competing. But what I like the most is the feedback loop, especially for newcomers. That's why I think hats.finance is one of the best platforms for newcomers to get started, because you literally, meanwhile you're reviewing the code, you're literally seeing submissions of other people. So it gives you more understanding on the code, or you can, like you said, like see, oh, maybe the fix that they introduced is not good enough. It's kind of like next level audit, because you have some kind of black box when you do like traditional audit competition in other platforms, where you submit your issues. And then, especially if you don't have backstage role, you don't see the submissions right after, and you don't see all the judging phase. So you have no idea what's going on with your submissions. And once you get the results, like 1 or 2 months later, you got like $10. After 6 highs or 3 mediums that you submitted, you see that you have only 1 high and maybe 1 low, or I don't know, that you got like $6 for, and you have no idea like why. And a lot of time passed, you don't have the context anymore. So yeah. I think from the auditor perspective, especially if you're a beginner, hats.finance is like the best platform to get started with. And from the protocol side, I'm wondering if it's like better from the other model. I'm sure like there are pros and cons for every single model. What are the advantages for the project, by the way?
For the real-time interaction, or what do you mean? Which aspect is you would like to explore?
Yeah, like how the fact that it's like real time and they're not paying for duplicates and like all the rewards. That's another huge advantage for the researcher. The payouts are much less diluted, but also there is the time factor. So you need to record fast.
For us, I mean, with our model, you have two options. Yeah, either you book a lead auditor from our leaderboard, and he will do all of the triage for you, or you can triage yourself. And this allows us to have like way lower fees, yeah, compared to the other platforms, because we don't hire like judges and so on. And the model with the lead auditor actually works really, really well. So then the customer has some fixed fee. Otherwise, our whole model is pay for results. We only get like 20% of the payouts. But the benefit of the first come, first serve model is that we don't get any vulnerability submitted 50 times. Yeah? So we have like 100 submissions instead of 5,000 submissions that someone has to go through and classify. And for them as well, they get better talent, because good talent knows that they get rewarded better if they're fast and good. And from the real-time interaction as well, they can obviously learn a lot. We had some audits, for example, Stakewise is a really good example. Their code was exceptionally good. And we already were worried because they had a $150,000 prize pool. That they will get like a lot of submissions, and afterwards they're going to get pissed because, they had looked through a lot of stuff, but there was nothing new. But actually it was the fact that there was not much new found. And some auditor even said on Twitter, it felt like squeezing water out of a stone because the code was so good.
Wow.
Yeah, it was their code was really, really high quality. But in the end, they came to us and said, like, man, this was so good. Yeah, like the interaction with the security researchers and like answering their questions, and as well like seeing new angles, how they would try to attack the code. And that as well generated a lot of value. And this you only get if you directly talk to the people. And what happens often then as well is that projects are booking the winners of the competition after the competition as solo auditors, because they already know them, they worked with them, they chatted with them, sometimes they even were on a call with them. And when they then found like one or two good issues, they just like, okay, this guy is amazing, I want him to review my next code, and then they book them for solo auditing.
This is super cool. And this solo auditing, because I know that some platforms are also interfering in this kind of solo auditing. Do you guys provide service for solo auditors to get booked, or it's directly peer-to-peer of the project and the auditor?
So so we have the lead auditor role for the competition, and this we provide, and we have like the successful guys on our platform, and as well we know that they work professional, as well they have some social skills. Yeah, like some auditors, when you have a chat with the customer and he's upset, they will bring very good arguments, like, this is why I believe this is not correct, this is the argument, maybe POC. Sometimes they're just like, I don't know, writing with typos, not thinking about what to say. But the good ones in our leaderboard, we usually recommend to the customer, like, hey, you can book them for a solo audit or lead auditor role. But then again, we are not doing any safekeeping. So if the customer wants to directly write the auditor a DM and they make like a contract for like a solo audit, we're not involved in that. And obviously, we would like to facilitate everything, but we just accept that this is, like the auditor has earned this right for themselves. So if we're not monetizing this, then it's totally fine for us. We're not planning to put any barriers in the way. We are happy that this happens. We're happy that the guys are earning some more money additionally, and we hope that still stay active on our platform.
Cool. So obviously my next question depends on the time of the year and bear market or bull market, but we can say that right now we are in a kind of bull market. What do you find more challenging, to bring protocols for audit competitions or to increase the auditor participation in every audit competition? Because I see now that I know that now these days a lot of audit companies and audit competitions has a lot of inflows of demand for audits, but they don't have enough good researchers. So they want to increase the pool of the auditor. Like, what is more challenging?
I think right now it's getting more audits onto the platform. But it changed a lot. I think in like 21, it was mostly finding auditing talent. And this is as well what the big auditing firms felt. Yeah, like, so they tried to scale because there was so much demand for audits. And they would basically start to hiring anyone they could find, which would lead to like really, really lowering the audit quality that we saw in 21. And then after everything crashed, obviously audit demand went down a lot. All of the auditors, they would often like let go of 60% of their staff, and like shrinking back to old sizes. And now in the bull market, there was like a period of like 2-3 months where we saw like really, really high demand. And I think that as well was when these kind of discussions started, if there's enough auditors in the space. But I feel the discussion was not really based on a good understanding, because I feel there's so many new talent coming into the market every month, like there's like so many smart people in India or South America, like I met so many people from South America, extremely good auditors, and I think right now they're like it's really competitive, and we have more talent than as of today is required. Maybe now, if there's like a real altcoin cycle is starting, then it will change. But I'm not worried anymore like I used to be in 21. If we have enough talent, I see a constant flow. And the people who were on Twitter and say like, there's not even enough talent for the competitions running right now. I think that were like auditors that got very famous by competitions because they were very good. But then they basically retired. And because they didn't solo auditors, they maybe found their own audit company. And they didn't really accept the reality that new talent came in after them. Yeah. That there are new people now in the block and they're still hungry and they want to go into the competition and find this high vulnerability and get 20K, and they're working their ass off. Yeah. So I think they disregarded a little bit the reality of the young talent that is coming in now.
It's very interesting what you're saying. So there is like kind of generations of auditors, right? The first one was Christophe Michel, and he's like long time, like he was like the leader in Code Arena. Then he joined Spirit and probably doing private audits, and you don't see him anymore in the arena. Then you had Trust, right? Trust was like taking all the pot in every competition, and now he founded Trust Security. So he has so much work. I'm kind of close to him. We talk once in a while, and is a lot of work, so much work that like he cannot compete. And by the way, and Trust, is like the soccer player that it's, if I compare it to soccer, you have like Maradona that retired and you have like new players coming to the arena. But the thing with Trust, it doesn't matter that even if he didn't do competitions for a while, when he comes to the arena, that's it. He gets all the pot. You see him like once in a while appearing in one competition and like taking the first place. So it's funny, but I'm sure I see all the time like so much new talent just coming up, especially now that you have also courses and training programs and more education. And it's amazing to see how we are improving in that aspect.
And what's interesting as well is the same happens with audit companies. Yeah, like they as well go through the life cycle. There's some very good organizations in 21, and then they lost their edge in the bear market. And then there's now new audit teams that are younger and more hungry. Because I think like having this like high motivation, this high drive is so important as an auditor, because you're basically fighting against the code, but you don't know if there's still something in. Yeah, like you have to push yourself super hard to check every detail, to think about the code intensely. And there's a risk that sometimes you're losing your motivation or your edge. And then there's someone younger coming in and he's just outworking you. And I think the best audit companies, they found the way how to solve this like psychological barrier. I think there's like two big modes out there. Like one is like the chain security mode. They're working very collaborative. So they have like 2-3 auditors who meet every day and discuss the code every day. And that keeps them engaged and hungry. And the other mode I really like as well, for example, from Solidified. They have a phase in their audit where like they are hunting each alone, and then they have a meeting and everyone needs to present what kind of audit findings they have. So no one wants to be in the meeting and miss the critical that someone else has found. Yeah, so they stay on the edge as well, and they need to keep pushing. And I think this is something that audit firms as well need to manage: is how to make sure that I stay hungry, I keep my edge, and I'm staying a good audit firm, because many are like losing it. I feel, and new audit firms are coming up now that are amazing.
Yeah, this is very interesting. How do you keep the auditors motivated when sometimes there are not that much incentives? Because, auditing companies, they pay like a fixed pay amount. It's not like the more you find, the more you get paid, but also you want to perform to not look bad. And if you don't perform, eventually, there are consequences. So
this is why I really like the audit competition model, because you don't have this risk. And as well, the auditor doesn't have to give up like 60% of their revenue for an organization for marketing and distribution. You get like all of the money. I mean, there's a fee for the platform, but otherwise you get all of the money like directly yourself. And you don't have to care about, do I have a website? Do I have a PDF? Do I reach out to customers? And the customer has the certainty that only the hungry good people will win and get money. So I think it's a really beautiful system.
Agreed. So as the CEO of hats.finance, in which areas are you more involved? Is it like more like talking with the projects, with the customer, with like developing the platform, or you're also actively participating in auditing competitions and bug submissions through bug bounties? Like how does your day look like?
So I think over time I was basically involved in every stream. in the beginning very involved with like product management and like finding development timelines. Then fundraising, and then we build up our sales pipeline, marketing, and then usually either we implement a process or we hire someone. So we recently just hired a new head of marketing, which I as well have to admit I'm not the best marketing person. So it was really good to hire Adelia, and she's doing an amazing job now. And then what I do shifts. I think this is what a lot of founders go through, is that you are basically working on every stop, but then either you implement a process or you hire a good team, and then we go to the next topic. What I'm working on right now very actively is preparing our decentralization and our token launch. And I have to say that's super, super intense. I miss the old times where you would just launch a token, just do liquidity mining, and
just deploy your ERC20 token, add liquidity to Uniswap V2, and that's it.
That's it. I know today it feels like an IPO. It's like we're going onto the stock exchange. This is the kind of magnitude how it feels today. And so I'm mostly involved with that now, but I keep obviously like operations running. Yeah. So I check like, does every team I think they need to be successful? Which KPIs are they working on? What kind of processes do they implement? Is everyone happy? Stuff like this I'm still doing actively.
How many teams are there? How does Hat Finance look behind the scene? Like how many employees? What kind of teams?
So right now we are 13. We have 3 people that work in growth. So you could compare that with sales. We have one person doing marketing within a marketing intern. And then we have 2 security experts who are like very good auditors from like 2017. We have 1 UX designer and 1 front-end dev, and our CTO. And then we have 1 director of the foundation and an accountant. And that's it.
Not that many people. Considering all the things that you have to do and challenges and navigating bug bounties and competitions and innovation, creating new features and token launch and marketing. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think especially compared to some of our competitors, we have like really, really not a lot of people in sales and marketing. But our approach always has been that we want to build like a better product and go from there. And so we obviously have like this big investment of our dev team, building like technology and things like this. And we don't want to scale the team much bigger. I think hopefully we will never be a company with more than 30 people. I think that's kind of like the end. And just make sure that we build systems that scale and that we can automate and that work with game theory, something like that.
And are you guys looking to hire more people or to raise more funds in the upcoming future?
We are now launching our token. So basically that is kind of the way how we gonna keep pushing like the financial side as well. But right now we're not hiring anymore, but we will probably start hiring some key positions in 3-4 months. So what I would like to have is like our 2 security experts. They're really good, but they're like not the most outspoken. And I would like to have someone who is just pushing security content and doing like research, like stuff like the big organizations do, like Open Zeppelin, like giving something back to the industry, giving something back to the community. That is like kind of like a luxury that I want to afford at some point. And if you're hearing this and you think like, wow, that would be amazing to do, we're not moving forward on this already, but keep us in mind.
Keep Hats Finance in mind and keep an eye. Interesting. And as the CEO, can you tell us like some kind of a sexy story? Like, I don't know, from a bug bounty, from a competition. You also mentioned that you participated in some kind of a rescue operation, like Web3 security rescue operation. So just choose an interesting story, and let's hear it directly from the CEO of Hats Finance, Oli.
Yeah, sometimes it happens that you get pinged. Yeah, so we had the situation where David from Iron Blocks, he DM'd me on Twitter and said like, hey, I just submitted a critical issue to the bug bounty of Power Swap. And so I knew that the guys at Iron Blocks are very smart, very good. So I directly pinged Monir, the CEO from Paraswap, and I said like, hey, did you receive this? And so he checked it and they said like, yeah, it's real. Like, we need to act now.
It was critical, right? Critical vulnerability.
Yeah, it was like a permit 2 kind of exploit, where you could basically with the MEV bot could steal transaction assets. And so I created the war room with David, with Munir. Munir pulled in his team, and I pulled in our security experts as well. And so the Paraswap team was extremely professional. Like the way they handled it was like so good. So they came up with a new code fix they could push. And
it was upgradable contracts, like they could upgrade the contracts.
Yes, for this, yes. And so we audited that code, and it was all good. They pushed it, and it was fine. And so we started to prepare postmortem and monitoring everything. And then in the middle of the night, like 12 in the night, suddenly Monir pings me like, "Hey, Oliver, there's a second vulnerability we have found. And this time we cannot upgrade the contract. We need to do a rescue operation."
Oh,
so he created.
But why couldn't they upgrade? This particular contract wasn't upgradable, or?
So it was the Augustus, which was basically, so they wrote it in assembly to like do heavily gas optimization, and they just, like as soon as we would move, people would start to exploit it. It was as well on like 7 different chains, this contract. And so it was not upgradable. And so they said like, okay, we cannot push new code. We need to do the rescue operation. And so they created a war room, and they as well asked Daniel from Origin Protocol. He's like part of CL 911, and he was leading the operation. And then the problem that we basically had was we needed someone who can submit these transactions into a private mempool, like we are Flashbots or something. And so I know that Bogdan from Tenderly, they were like really, really helpful as well with this. And basically the second vulnerability then was Uniswap 2 kind of router issue, where someone could exchange the address of the transaction to a pool that doesn't exist. They could basically reroute the transaction and then basically get all of the value of the transaction. And so we had to do that, and we had to do this transaction and empty all of these pools. And in the end, it was basically a battle against the hackers.
Wow.
It was not only one person in the end, because people obviously can see this transaction happening on chain, and they started to do it as well. And it was a pretty tough battle. In the end, everything got saved apart from like $1 million roughly.
Apart from, it's funny how you said like occasionally everything was served apart from $1 million. Like it's nothing.
I mean, $1 million is not on the big leaderboards of hacks nowadays, but it gets better.
It's a lot of money. So it was deployed on multiple chains, and in some chains you don't have private mempools. You just have you have to set up your own node or something.
They battled against the hackers basically.
So what does it mean to battle against the hackers? What do you do in a chain that there is no private mempools? How do you submit a rescue transaction without getting front-run?
So I'm not like a mempool expert. This is why we pulled someone in. But I think basically you're trying to front run each other as well as some part of gas wars, right? So you're like competing to have like these first slots in the block.
You need a lot of money for that, because if you compete, it might go up and up and up until the value gets to zero eventually.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what happened. This is how you lost like $1 million.
No, so in the end, $1 million got channeled to the hackers. The rest was saved. Actually, it's an interesting question. After the podcast, I go back and check how much the guys paid for gas to save the money. But the story found a very good end. Like from the $1 million, they make kind of like send a message to the wallets and say like, hey, if you are a gray hat or white hat and you just as well rescue funds, please send them back. And actually, like 800K got sent back. So I think in total it was 1.1 million, 800 got sent back, and only 300K got to black hats. And then PowerSwap governance basically made every user whole. So no user lost any money in this. And I consider this like a great success, I have to say.
Compared to other stories, yes, but still, if you think about it, 200K, 300K got stolen. Who paid for it? The token value?
PowerSwap paid out it from pocket.
Yeah,
they paid it with their treasury. Yeah,
this is super interesting.
For normal standards, that's pretty insane, right? But for crypto standards, that's very low nowadays. You know, like all of these like 3-digit million hacks that happened, especially like with the bridges, and you know, like it was obviously like when you get pinged in the middle of the night, and I was like preparing to go to bed, and you know, like you're like getting this adrenaline rush, like, oh my God, what is happening? And like, we need to save those funds, because if you work in security, like super aware that the people that get hurt are like just average people, like some kind of, I don't know, family dad that puts his savings into crypto, and if he loses it, it's like really, really hurts. I mean, of course, there's as well degens who maybe are okay with losing their money, but still, you know, like I feel there's a lot of responsibility for builders and security professionals in this space. So just rushed to the computer, and like we're setting up this call, and they would like send the transactions into the channel. We would look at the transactions. And actually, Daniel, they worked on a script, to rescue the funds. Our dev Ben was looking at the script and like making sure that it's safe as well. And the way as well the PowerSwap team coordinated themselves was absolutely impressive. Yeah, they were like super professional. And big shout out to Daniel. And I think the other white hat that was super involved, I need to check. I think it's like Coffee Bay or something. His name was. I need to quickly check. So it was a callback, Uniswap v3 swap callback that didn't have like a check. If the callback is actually legit. So it was Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, and Polygon where the vulnerability was live.
It's an aggregator. It's a DEX aggregator, like 1 inch. So where was the value stolen from? They have also their own liquidity pools, because now I went to DeFi Lama and I said they have $0 in TVL.
So I think they basically took it directly from the transactions. So if someone would use PowerSwap to trade, they would basically lose the money of the asset that they wanted to trade against another asset.
So it's not like stealing directly from liquidity pools or from vaults or something. It was like stealing from users that are swapping, that are using PowerSwap. That's the idea? Yeah,
so they would route the transaction basically to a pool that doesn't exist, and then the money is gone.
Wow. So how $1 million got stolen? There was someone trying to swap $1 million in PowerSwap? Or?
Yeah, many transactions, like on all chains at the same times. And they would... they did turn it off from the UI, so you couldn't interact from it anymore from the UI. But I think there may be as well automized strategies still like continue to run and making swaps. Maybe a lot of we don't know, but I can assume that a lot of the people maybe was arbitrage bots that, like just trying to balance out pools or something like that.
Through PowerSwap, through the aggregator of PowerSwap, because they have an interface or API or something. This is so interesting. And so 1 million got lost in the rescue, and how much were you able to save? Do you know?
It's a good question. Actually, think 3.4 million got rescued.
Nice. Like 80%, 70%.
Yeah.
Not bad. Wow, it's a big aggregator. A lot of volume.
PowerSwap is a great product. Fortunate that they had this exploit, but luckily it ended good for the user. Yeah, I mean, obviously for PowerSwap, it's not so nice that they had to deal with this and they had to reimburse $300,000. But I think all in all, it's actually a good outcome.
How much did the one who reported got? Because I see that now in hats.finance, the total deposits are 30K only and the max reward is 25K. So I'm wondering, the one who reported it is eventually the one who should be rewarded? Talking about incentives.
Yeah. So the initial vulnerability that got reported by Daniel got not paid out yet. So basically, after that happened, everyone was more like focused on like the rescue. The rescue operation, by the way, went for like days. It was not done in one night. Yeah, like at 4:00 I went into bed and I
remember that we talked and you told me that I'm in the middle of rescue operation. I cannot talk now.
Yeah, you were one of the guys I pinged and I was like, hey, Johnny, like I know you're really smart. Can you like do this rescue operation with the private mempool? Yeah. And you said like, yeah, okay. I think you didn't see the message or something like this. You just saw it like later. But yeah, you were one of the guys, I pinged, like maybe Johnny knows someone. And so basically I went to bed like 4 a.m. or something. And then when I got up at like 9 or something after 5 hours sleep, I saw that the guys are still pushing very hard. They're like, obviously at some point I'm not super useful anymore because I'm not an engineer. And my job was more like getting the right people and trying to organize and like using my connections in the industry to activate certain parties. And then the hardcore techies, they went at it. Yeah. But when I got up, they were still like rescuing. And I think it went on for like 2, 3, 4 more days where they would like keep battling with the hacker. And then, like, we needed to prepare the post-mortem. So the Parasol guys published that. And the Iron Blocks guys, they were not really money oriented. Yeah. They want to do good for the industry and they want to prove that they're very good and very smart. And so for them, that was more important than the money. So they didn't really push, but obviously still the reward will come and we will see if it will be only part of the vault, or if Munir maybe decides even to top it up. But we will probably get like some marketing announcement from that soon.
Amazing. What a story. I just checked the Telegram messages now, and then I see a message in 2 a.m. Are you awake? for me in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And then you asked me about flashbots and stuff, and I told you that I'm familiar with flashbots, but I never actually used them. But I guess eventually you didn't use flashbots because it's like on different chains. You have it only on Ethereum, but if you have to rescue funds on other chains, it's problematic.
It was definitely complicated, I have to say. Yeah, I started to think about like who's in South America, like who's still up. And so I know that, like from Open Zeppelin, they have engineers in South America. So I tried to ping some people from Open Zeppelin. Actually, the Iron Blocks guys ended up being awake, fortunately, some of them. So yeah, it's very tricky. And I pinged, for example, Alex from Ottersec because he's in the US. So he was awake as well. But I think in the end, it was the Tenderly guys and another organization that helped with flashbots. Sorry that I don't remember it anymore, but it was very late at that point. So,
what a story. So you mentioned before about the Hats token and like upcoming updates to the Hats protocol and how it's gonna align even better the incentives and incentivize protocols, about how they gonna increase the bounty and also the security researchers. So can you tell us a bit about the Hats token, how it's gonna look like? What do you guys plan for it? I mean, we don't have to go into very details of like all the tokenomics and stuff, but like high level perspective, how it's gonna look like.
Yeah. So the idea of Hats is that the protocol will be owned by the different stakeholders, by security researchers, by the customers, and by as well people that want to get exposure to cybersecurity market. So I think everyone knows that cybersecurity is growing very fast, and as well in crypto, it's even growing faster. And traditionally, only like professional investors got access to these opportunities. Yeah, so VCs would invest into audit firms and so on to capture this kind of growth in cybersecurity. And what we want to do is we want to give the ownership of the protocol to the security researchers, to the customers, and to people that want to get exposure to this. And they then as well should like balance out the interests. Yeah, so I think the security researchers have very different needs and requirements than the customers. So obviously the security researchers will always get paid as much as possible. The customer maybe doesn't want to pay as much as possible all the time. And so what we thought is that the token as well should live from the organic growth of the protocol. The more audits, the more security researchers are on the platform, the more organic demand should be for the token. And so the system that we came up with is that we have this spam protection feature, right? That is very important because it's one of the biggest issues with bug bounties and audit competition, that you have a reward that you can claim. So I have an incentive to put in as many submissions as possible, and maybe one of the submissions is correct and is getting rewarded. And then it's very worth it for me. So we see this a lot with bug bounties where people write like a ChatGPT report and then they send the same report to 50 projects. And if one of the projects pays me $50, then economically it's already worth it for me. So for us, you always had to pay a transaction fee on Ethereum to submit something, which would then destroy this business case of spamming all of the projects. But now Ethereum became...
This is one of my favorite features, by the way, in hats.finance, because I know how frustrating it is judging, especially with all the spam submissions and cheap ChatGPT submissions. And this is literally just changed the game, because that's it. I mean, it's not going to be economically rewarding for you anymore if you're just a spammer, just going to try his luck. And it makes and judge time is expensive, right? It's usually in your case, it's like lead auditor, the project is paying for, his time is expensive, and you're just burning his time instead of just focusing on the real submissions.
And for the real submissions, it doesn't matter, because for a low severity, usually you would still get like $800. And so if you need to pay $5 to submit, but you expect $800 back, it's totally fine. But the problem that we then had was that, when it became like... But
sorry for interrupting, but you're saying $5, but I remember I paid 10 cents. That's it. So when did it cost $5? You were working on Ethereum in the past, because now it's on Arbitrum and it's like much cheaper.
Yeah, so it was made mainly on Ethereum. Even right now on Ethereum, it will be way cheaper because gas is cheaper.
Gas dropped.
But in the high demand times, and we don't want to block people to come into the ecosystem. Yeah, so maybe your college student in like South America, and then maybe $5 is for you like a lot of money. And so what we wanted to do is then we wanted to move everything to Arbitrum, but then it was too cheap. So there was no spam protection anymore.
Okay.
So with the tokenomics, we said like, okay, they're going to be a small fee. Like right now, the starting point will be 30 cents, but we will then, find out what is a good kind of balance that we don't get too much spam, but we don't exclude people from participating. And this 30 cents is then converted to Hats token and put in the treasury. And but people can become lead auditors. So if you stake Hats tokens, but you need to be on the leaderboard. So if you're on the top 50 of the leaderboard, you can stake Hats tokens and become a lead auditor. And then you can get booked for these lead auditor slots and offer additional services like triage. And you don't need to pay the transaction fee anymore. But if you are spamming or if you are triaging very poorly, then we can slash you. So you will lose your stake. And for the projects, it's that they need to have a stake in the protocol to even open their vault and to run their audit competition. And they can stake more tokens to increase the visibility of their audit competition. So now they have two ways to attract better talent to the competition. One is just putting more money into the prize pool, but the second way is to stake more Hats token and therefore get more promotion. And we think that this will be very interesting because we will probably come to a time where there will be like 20, 30 audits happening at the same time at the platform. So now
20, 30 audits at the same time in one platform when you have like 5 platforms. Do you think it's going to happen one day?
Yeah. I think so, because like now with account abstraction, there will be like a lot of new smart contracts that are coming in like constant as well, like smaller audits and so on. And I still believe that we will have a future where like everything will become a smart contract. Right now, infrastructure is not really ready, but I think, like with AI agents, with like all the consumer apps, like there will be a lot of smart contracts coming into the market every time. And I mean, it will not stay 5 platforms forever. Yeah. I think it will maybe consolidate down to 2-3 platforms. And if we are playing our cards well with the decentralization, because we are right now the only ones who are taking this approach, and that we say like we want to give ownership to security researchers. So what we hope will happen is that they say like this is our platform. Yeah, like I hope that this will not be like the Hats platform anymore, but people will feel like this is like their home. Yeah. And so maybe we will accumulate like a very nice amount of the traffic happening. Right now, obviously, we still need to push and we need to grind. And there's like, I think with Cantina, there's like definitely a strong competitor coming into the market now. But yeah, I think there will be like a lot of smart contracts, enough business for everyone happening. So
it's very interesting what you're saying, because as I look at it, auditors are not loyal employees. It's not like they work in a company like OpenZapply and that's it. They're there. They jump from one audit competition to another. Depends on the reward. Depends on the bounty that is on the stake. And making an auditor loyal to a competition platform or to a bug bounty platform is a challenging task. And if you will create this kind of sense of community and token and skin in the game and long term, a lot of competitions, including hats.finance, are trying to incentivize, like you have streaks, right? Sherlock also have the point system, and they're trying to incentivize like to stick around. And I'm interested to see how the Hats token and all these new incentive features are going to play out.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. Like right now, there are mercenaries, and there should be. They should go to the competition where they can earn the most money with the highest likelihood. And there's no entry barriers. Yeah. But I think if there's like 2 different models, one is like, okay, there's like a centralized company that takes 20% of my fee. And there's the other one where like, okay, I'm an owner as well of this platform myself. And this fee is as well coming back to me at some like kind of way. We hope that this decentral model wins out. And I think there's some precedents for that. For example, like SushiSwap, where it was like literally a 1-to-1 fork from Uniswap, but still people like pushed it because Uniswap didn't have a token. I think these kind of incentives are strong, and we want to see it play out. So this is what we're going to try.
Very cool. Yeah. And what about the timeline? Like, I know it's a lot of work, especially now these days, but when are you expecting to launch the token? And this new system, obviously, it's a complicated system, a lot of features technically and also, I guess, legally, right?
Yeah. This summer. I don't want to say like a date yet.
This summer. Wow.
Yeah. But not long. Like few months, very few months.
And you're going to launch it together with the new arbitration system, or like how does the roadmap of Hats looks like?
Yeah, so right now we need to prioritize some of the features for the token launch, and the arbitration UI, the contracts are ready, but the arbitration UI is directly after TGE in the pipeline right now for development. So that was like an internal discussion we had. It's like, okay, do we wrap up the arbitration or do we push the TGE? But we think right now it's a very good time to launch. And so we prioritize this a little bit higher. And that's the problem if you only have like 13 people. That you always need to like, do we push this or do we push that? There's so many nice things I would like to do, but it just doesn't make it into prioritization. Like even small things, like I want to have a special Discord role for the top 10 people in the leaderboard. And so like one of our devs has this right now as like a hobby project that he builds a bot for that, just, like, because it would be nice recognition. Yeah. Like if you just become number 1 and then you get like number 1 role in Discord. So stuff like this, but it's always tough negotiations internally, what features we prioritize. But right now we want to make sure that the gamification and incentives for security researchers for the token are ready for our launch. So we don't need to push the launch.
This really sounds like a game changer. I'm looking forward for it, really, to see how it plays out. Very interesting. So apart from the token launch and of course you have the arbitration, are you guys working on something else? Oh, that's enough. I guess it's too much for 30 people. This is already a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we are working on other things. It's more like into the future. But two topics that we are super interested about is like AI safety. I think there's definitely need to do AI safety, and we are positioned very well to do something about it. And the second is decentral code contribution.
Sorry, what does AI safety means? Before we...
Yeah, so I need to be careful how much I tell.
Okay, it's okay. You don't have to share it if it's like too early.
I can share a little bit. Yeah. So if you are a company that develops like custom models, you have an issue. Yeah? Like let's say it's a medical use case, and it's like a digital doctor, and I'm a patient, and I will ask the digital doctor what kind of drug should I take and how much. And then it just says like, take 500 milligram of this drug. But the real one was the real dosage maybe was 50 milligram. So there's a lot of risk, right? And so we believe that there needs to be some kind of audit for this, where you evaluate how much hallucination does the model have, and how accurate is the information that it gives to you.
So you're going back to the AI roots, huh?
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we have some like good partners in the industry to this. For example, the Oasis guys, they're like really deep into AI stuff, and so we are not super far from this. But we will see how this will develop. I think. And
you're going to integrate it with Hats, because there are a lot of like AI projects, but there is no real AI for it. They just use the branding of like AI to push the token up or something. So
we don't plan to do this. Like I'm super against doing that. We will launch our token with what we have already live and not based on any future promises. But we are very curious builders, and we always love to explore new stuff. So audit competition will definitely be not the end story of Hats. So we will keep pushing audit competitions to always improve the product, always improve the model. But we are very well interested in doing more, and Hats should be an ecosystem. And we have now 2 products, and it will not stop at 2 products. It will be more.
Amazing. So after the AI safety, what was the next one?
Decentral code contribution. That's very close to us already, because we already do find vulnerabilities and propose fixes. And for us, it's the question how can we push it after that? Yeah, how can we because open source development right now works on people contribute because out of goodwill. But we think
there is also airdrops, right? Starknet airdrop.
True.
They gave a lot of Stark token to people who committed to and pushed to Starknet related repositories. So it's a new narrative, right?
Yes, that's definitely true. I mean, our direction is a little bit different. Our direction would more be, I want to build this piece of software. And either you can say okay, anyone who contributes to this piece of software will get part of the token supply. That's one way. Or you can just hire people and say I have a pool of 40K, and whoever makes a good commit that gets approved will get X amount of dollars. And there you already see, right, it's very close to our audit competition model. It's just a different phase of the development cycle. So we have this vision that one day we will cover the whole development cycle, from idea to architectural creation, to specification, code development, auditing, deployment. But this is very much still internal discussion, and not so much that we push outside, because we don't like to talk about ideas that we're not delivering on. So let's see.
This is so interesting. By the way, there is a platform that is doing something similar. I don't know if you heard about them. Only Dust. You heard about it?
No, actually, no. I need to check it out.
I'll send you a link. So, I mean, it actually sounds very similar, because this is what they're doing. They are measuring contribution to open source projects, especially in blockchain, Starknet, Ethereum, Optimism, Aptos, etc. And then you have projects are funding kind of open source contributions. So one project, I don't know if it's like retroactive. So after someone contributes, they pay him, or they assign a task. Oh, we want a UI for this and that smart contract, and then there is some kind of competition. But it's a very interesting concept.
I will check it out. Sounds good.
Onlydas.com. Amazing. So on the closing remarks, what do you think are going to be the most interesting developments in like Web3 security or Web3 in general?
In Web3 security, I'm looking forward to like further like organize the crowd. Like that's what we love the most. And I think there's a lot of potential, but as well security tooling. I hope we will see more automation of fuzzing and formal verification. I think that would be very important. Because that's the best way to find like all vulnerabilities. And right now it's like very hard and very expensive to formally verify your whole product. So people usually only do it for specific contracts. And I think if we someday want to go to a future where the whole industry is like way more secure than it's currently, we need to like formally verify on a broad kind of scale. And this is as well why we're running formal verification competitions with Satora, because we think at some day it will go into that direction anyways, and we already want to be positioned well for it. And as well, training our community and doing formal verification already now with workshops and so on. And in DeFi in general, or in crypto in general, I have to say I'm right now a little bit disappointed with this cycle because we didn't have seen any interesting new use case popping up. I think a lot.
How about RWAs? RWS, reload RC?
I think the only RWA that is actually right now being actively pushed and works is T-bills.
T-bills.
Yeah, stablecoins and T-bills. And I think that's great, but that's not going to bring the next billion users. And it's already there. It already works. I think GameFi and SocialFi are like the two retail kind of things that are interesting right now.
That we didn't hear for a while. You know, we have Friends Tech. There was a lot of gaming apps last time. Metaverse. In the last cycle, like Illuvium, I'm heavily invested into Illuvium, one of the craziest game I've ever seen on the blockchain.
Is it fun?
I mean, I never played it, to be honest. I only invested in it and participated in staking.
This is the problem. Yeah, this is why I don't invest into GameFi because
no, but the thing is, I don't have time. I used to be a gamer, you know, when I didn't have responsibilities in my life, you know, when I was in high school. I mean, I did have tests and exams and stuff, but I didn't like them. So I just played World of Warcraft and MapleStory and all this kind of MMORPG games. But now I'm like, I love my life as they are. My game is like to audit contracts, to create content. My grind is like on the real life. So I don't spend much time on games, even though I love them. I mean, my girlfriend would kill me if I will download a game and start playing. But I should try that. Also, I have MacBook, so it's a bit challenging to launch games on MacBook.
You need to get a Shadow PC. That's what I have. It's like a cloud PC in a server. And so you stream just the image to your MacBook. This is how when I game like once a month, this is how I do it.
Once a month? You have a time slot like gaming day?
I mean, no, but you know, like maybe there's like, I take a day off on the weekend and my girlfriend is at her parents, or I don't know, does like a girl thing with her friends. Then I will just game a little bit and then I use this Shadow PC, which is really nice.
Cool. What do you play, by the way?
Right now, the last game I played, I think it's called No Rest for the Wicked. It's like a little bit like a Dark Souls like game. Yeah. Cool. That's the last thing that I played.
So Illuvium is a great game, by the way. They have partnership with Electronic Arts and like they are gaining a lot of players and users. So I mean, I invested the token when it was like $500, then it went up to $2,000. I never sold, and now it's like in $100. You know, in the bottom it was even $40-something, but I just stick to it till the end because it's really cool, like project and team. But yeah, this meta of like gaming and metaverse and social file, it feels like in this bull run we don't see it much.
There's definitely a lot of projects launching and raising money, but the issue I see is that not a lot of those games are actually good games. Yeah, like being a ex-gamer or like even gaming very few times, like now a year, but I never saw a gamify game or like a crypto game which I thought was fun for me. Never. And I think that will not work. Like, I don't know. You need a good game.
Yeah,
And
but
then we
eventually
can
there
talk.
will come a good game that will be mainstream, like Fortnite or I don't know, PUBG or something, and everyone will play it, and there will be a token in the background. So I believe
That would be nice. But
and
we have
social
burned the
friend.
game community super hard. Yeah, like they really hate crypto now.
Why?
This is
The game community hates crypto?
Yeah, you didn't see it?
No.
You need to go to Reddit and stuff. There's actually even like Mr. Beast, right? Like this famous YouTuber.
Yeah, I
He
know.
did like a game and he did it really well. The UX, yeah, like people don't even see that there was like crypto in the background. So he did everything right. Then people found out that there's crypto in the background and there was like a huge backlash and he had to stop it.
What?
And I think the problem is
Why?
that with NFTs and everything, people just felt that everything is a scam. This is how they perceive it right now. It's like, okay, you have these JPEGs and like I lost my money and there's some grifters who just, like made like $5 million selling very subpar art, and like this is how their opinion got formed.
It's very weird. I never thought about it, but I mean, the way I look at it is like I used to play so many MMORPG games, and they have their own economy, right? You have like in MapleStory, for instance, you have Meso, which is like the currency, and then you have resources like wool, wood. This is World of Warcraft. I mix them. Never mind. But then you have items, right? So I think about it. The economy of the game can have like real value in the real life because people are paying to this game so much money. My brother literally works in an Israeli company that all their income is from a mobile game where the user I don't want to put the names, but it's like multi-billion-dollar company, private company, by the way, not public. And they're just milking the user for playing real money, and they give him like fake money in the game. So it would be so cool if this will be like real value,
Yeah, I agree as well. Like owning the digital content yourself. Yeah, like if you buy a CSGO skin, you actually own it on the blockchain. But I think one problem is that the companies, they don't have so much incentive to push this. Because if I'm Steam, like why would I give up control over the CSGO store?
Exactly.
So I think that's an issue that the game industry or the gamify industry needs to solve somehow. Like what is the incentive for a good game studio to actually decentralize ownership if they can just monetize better, if they keep control?
They won't, because they want to keep everything for themselves for the same reasons that Instagram and Facebook and Meta don't want to decentralize their protocol, because they're milking all the advertising money. And I asked it my brother, like, don't they think about blockchain? Don't they have blockchain team to make like token or resources or NFT? And he's like, no. Why? Why would they get so much money? Like the business works well. Why would we decentralize it in the world? So I think the key here is like new companies that will rise, of like ex-employees of these gaming companies that will just create better games. And once you have these better games, they will have no choice, because everyone will say, wait, why would I play a game that just waste my time and money where I can just make money while playing the game, right?
Yeah.
This is just a whole other interesting subject for another podcast. I mean, gaming and stuff. Okay, let's close it with some tips for like newcomers, for entrepreneurs, for security researchers, for newcomers in crypto, like whatever tips you want to share from your experience. You have vast experience in the field as an entrepreneur, as investor, as user. So yeah, let's hear it.
So I really encourage people to go to crypto conferences. So I'm personally doing the road trip this year again. So I just came back from ETH Dam, where I was the speaker. Now ETH Berlin, then ETH Belgrade, ECC in Brussels, then EdCon in Tokyo, and in the end of the year, of course, DevCon. And I especially want to highlight TrustX and the DeFi Security Summit. Yeah, if you're new into security, this is the best place to be. You will find the best auditors, not all of them, but like many of the best are there. New exciting topics and talks, and you will make connections with people, and that will actually bring you into crypto. Yeah, like I think it's an amazing industry with amazing people as well, very shady people. But if you go to these good conferences, I think you will have more percentage of good people than bad people. And then you will understand why this industry is so amazing. Yeah. Because you have extremely smart people, very dedicated, hardworking, but as well like super nice vibes. Yeah, like you don't need to come in a suit. Yeah, you have like a guy, just random like t-shirt, but like one of the smartest guys you will ever meet, the best discussion you will have. And I personally love this a lot. Other than that, I think be active on social media, like find like good Twitter accounts, see what they are doing. Don't trust anyone. Just assume that anyone is out there to steal your money. Be careful with your own security practices. Use a hardware wallet, and don't trade too much, especially if you're new. Find like good projects and be engaged in their community. Talk to the team and hold their token. I think this is some like just general broad advice. In terms of entrepreneurial, right now it's not super easy to raise money. So be prepared to hustle your ass off to raise funds. But there's still a lot of issues we have to solve. So find an issue that we need to solve and start working on it, and success will come to you.
Thank you so much, Oli. Really, I had a lot of fun, and thanks for all the tips and the stories. I am sure people are going to love it when it's going to be published, and I will see you soon.
Thank you so much, Johnny.
Thank you. Bye-bye.